Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Away Book Gunners podcast. Now, before I introduce the other guys I can't quite believe that this show in the short while has stopped to its lowest point that you could think of, because it has got me as its host. With so I can't go any further than that. So apologies guys, Vijay and the rest of the guys should be back pretty soon, but yeah, it's going to be me taking over this the last remains of the show, I would say. So welcome Eben, welcome AP, how are you guys doing?
Hey Bob, nice to be back here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Perfect. Now, this is supposed to be a Liverpool review of what went wrong, and then as well as an preview for the game ahead at Aston Villa. But yeah, first, I just want to stress more about the review of the Liverpool game, and then what sort of went wrong into it, without wasting much time. So I just wanted to get you guys quick reaction in terms of how the game unfolded and what were the expectations before the start of the game against what really happened towards the end of it. So AP, I'll go with you first. What were your initial reactions after the game?
It's strange because obviously we lost at home. We didn't score a goal, but I wasn't too upset. I wasn't too dismayed at all. You know, it's encouraging when, if you look at it, if we're being honest, to be 100% honest, forget about rivalry and bias. You know, Liverpool are probably arguably top two or the best team in Europe right now. You know, we just played literally maybe the potential champions of Europe and potential Premier League champions all in one. You know, that was a game between the elite and then the good. You know, we're the best of the rest, while they are the best. So we gave them a good game. Obviously, we limited them. You know, we kept their shot output, their final third entries down to a quite low total compared to the other games in the season. So it's nothing to be upset about. It was a good performance. Everyone tried. Of course, maybe we'll go into detail about some individual performances, but I think overall as a team, as a collective, you know, they can be very, very proud of what they achieved on Wednesday. And hopefully it's a stepping stone for the future and for big games, you know, at the Emirates for sure.
Eben, to you, did we give too much respect to Liverpool as such? I know, I mean, AP stressed on the point that there are top two team, if not actually the best team in Europe. So they're almost there up the top, and it was quite evident in the way that they actually played the game. But did we sort of give them too much respect, or could we had the game in ours if we had converted some of these chances possibly?
I don't think so. I don't think we gave them too much respect. I think we held our own. We had a decent game, especially the first half. We didn't concede. We had our own moments. We had a good passing game, and with Liverpool, we always had to be careful not to press too much because they could counter very quickly. So I think Arteta had a good game plan. We went about it well. Obviously, there is a difference in quality of the current Arsenal team and the Liverpool team. So, I agree with AP. I think we shouldn't be disheartened with this loss. Obviously, we are gutted. We lose a game. We are obviously disappointed. But I think it's against a top team. We did well. So, we should be proud of the way we played Liverpool this game, as well as the way we played City and still lost. So, these are the two top teams in the country, and we are we were close to competing with them. So, for me, I think take it on the chin and move on.
Right, right. AP, if you were to point a few instances during the game, instances that turned against us, or probably the moments where we should have capitalized but still lost out, what would they be?
I think first of all, you look at, of course, the time Allison, you know, misplaced. You know, Liverpool obviously they're very comfortable playing out for the back, but that one time Allison misplaced a pass and it went to Lacazette and he tried to round the keeper. And I'm not going to blame Lacazette because I think Allison made it quite difficult for him in that angle. But obviously he turned around and he passed it to Odegaard, and maybe Odegaard could have done better, but also again it was an amazing save from Allison. Like that's the kind of difference. And then Liverpool go down the other end, and Thiago plays an unbelievable ball for Jota, and Jota beats Ramsdale at his near post. And I think that's the difference, like I said before, between the elite and then the best of the rest. And I think also we saw the difference in terms of when Martinelli was absolutely spinning Trent out of his boots, going past him for fun. He came round, cut the ball back, and Lacazette was nowhere to be seen in that near post, zone. Up at the other end, Robertson cuts it back for Firmino. Firmino's right there at the near post, bam, straight past Ramsdale. That is the difference. Like Liverpool, they're an elite team because obviously they defend well, they control the game, and they take those half chances. They have such elite forwards that half chances become good chances for them, while we have to create the perfect chance to score. And I think that's the difference between the elite and the rest. And listen, unfortunately, we just have to hang our heads and just clap them because they're unbelievable. They're ruthless. Like, honestly, I won't get tired of watching them this season. They're an amazing team.
Oh, totally. I resonate your thoughts here. It's just the clinicality which was the difference between the sides. If you look at the bench that we had to what they are, it's not comparable anyway. So, but still, they had a bench which could come back and haunt us at any point in time. And yeah, that was actually the difference that it made. Jota's pain in the ass, when it comes to Arsenal. He scored, I think he's played 7 games against Arsenal so far, and he scored 7 of them. So that's a formidable record. And so is Bobby Firmino. So he's as well, he has this knack of scoring against the Gunners all the time, and that quite proved against us. But Eben, sorry, if you were to single out, would you actually point down to the costly miss that Ramsdale, in the howler, I would say, that Ramsdale had in the first goal, for us to lose the momentum and then possibly towards the result? Did it actually matter as much as the whole game as such?
No, I don't think so. See, I think goalkeepers do make mistakes, even though I don't feel it was a mistake. Yes, he should have saved it. It was his near post. He did try. Obviously, it went in. But I think Liverpool would have definitely had another couple of chances. And like AP mentioned, they just need a half chance to finish it. So I don't think that changed the complete complexion. But obviously, I think that's when they would have gained further momentum because coincidentally, it was Thiago who made the miss pass to Alisson, which obviously we didn't capitalize on. And it was the same Thiago who played the ball to Jota to finish to score that goal. So definitely to an extent, yes, but I think they would have still probably nipped it.
So we knew towards the end of the transfer window that Arsenal are not going to sign any striker, and we're just going to go with, like I said, an Nketiah as well as the sole strikers as well available. And for us to click, we've as well spoken about the fact that the starting 11 has to click because there is no inspiration, or there is not enough inspiration apart from Smith Rowe and as well Pepe to a little bit from the bench to come in and make a difference. How do you fancy our chances now that we've played Liverpool? We've still got games against Chelsea and United coming up in some time. How clinical could we be with the team that we have to sort of get the result our way? The question would rather be, would we, if we play against the same, hoping that if we play the starting 11 against Chelsea or United, could you think this team could make a difference? AP.
It's tough because I said in the last podcast, I think it's very unfair to rely on Smith Rowe and Odegaard and Saka to fire you to the top 4 in terms of how young they are. They've never done it before. They've never pushed a team towards such a level, and for it to be all on their shoulders with no striker or central focal point of the attack that's pulling its weight. It's tough. Like you saw Saka. I think Saka he picked up a niggle against Leicester, so I don't think he was fully fit against Liverpool. And you saw him had an off day, and that's going to happen. He's a very young player. I can't expect him. I saw some fans maybe lambasting him. Some fans were having a go at him, but he's so young. You can't expect him to be carrying the team every single game. The only person who was a threat, against Liverpool was Martinelli. That was it, and he was trying to do everything on his own. You saw him dribbling past 3-4 players and going. And he had no support in the final third. So it's tough. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really want to bash Lacazette, but he had 20 touches of the ball against Liverpool, and like maybe 4 or 5 of them were inside the box. Like for me, it's nice. The link up play is nice, and him having his back to goal. You know, he likes the ball to his feet. He likes to roll in, play with people in. But that's all well and good. But if you're not a threat inside the box, for me, it doesn't mean much. It doesn't suffice. Like that's half the job. I
Yeah,
need the other half
but
as well.
but that's something which we were aware of, right? It's not like suddenly
Mm,
yesterday that, like I said, has stopped scoring or something. We know
mm,
he's sort of a fox in the box. That he's not someone who's going to be banging 20, 30 goals like what Kane does.
mm.
So we know he's sort of a different player who brings in, who sort of get the opposition involved and then try and take players out. And then probably his work rate is awesome as well. But we know he's not as clinical in front of goal going into the second half of the season. But still with that, how can't we find a way without, like I said, not scoring? I mean, we should be, I mean, that's what matters at the end of the day, right? How do we
Mm.
actually find pockets of space and then start scoring? Smith Rowe and then to an extent Saka as well have been taking this far, but we still have to find a way for helping, like I said, to score, or find an opening or two. Eben, so how do you actually sum up, because we are going into a very tricky phase where we've sort of lost, but although it's a defeat, we've been performing decently enough. How do you actually take this towards the rest of the season?
See, it's a known fact. Like you also mentioned, we don't have a very strong bench. We have a very thin squad, and a misfiring striker, or I would say not non-firing striker at the moment. Who does well link up play? Like I said, he does well. See, even the chance he missed, he did make it for Odegaard. He could have finished it. But yeah, having said that, I think it's going to be difficult. I agree with it. It's going to be difficult. We're playing Chelsea away. We're playing Spurs away. United is a home game. These are all going to be challenging games. I think probably Chelsea away is going to be the toughest, but the other two are winnable games. But I repeat what Arteta says. I think every game is a cup final for us. It's as simple as that. We've got a good, decent, strong starting level. But having said that, it is unrealistic. I would like to. I agree with AP. There are a lot of people bashing Saka, but you can't expect a 20, 21-year-old to put play at the best of his ability each and every game. Uh, there are times when Martinelli has been invisible in games, but against Liverpool he was playing amazingly. So we've got a young squad, so they'll not be as consistent as somebody who's in the peak of their game at 26, 27. So we can't expect that from them. But having said that, we have to take one game at a time. Unfortunately, since we've Laka not scoring, we will have to rely on the other players to score. We'll have to rely on a Saka, Martinelli, a Smith Rowe, or an Odegaard to score. We have no other options.
Considering we just had a game 64 hours prior, and there's an early kickoff as well for the Villa game. How do you see Arteta shaking up the starting 11, AP? Do you see a place for Smith Rowe as well as Martinelli to be there together with Saka possibly on the bench, towards because he was less sharp as we guys spoke about. So what do you see changes in the starting line?
For sure, I think Smith Rowe definitely comes in. I think Smith Rowe maybe comes in for Martinelli, possibly Pepe for Saka, even though I know Arteta praises Pepe's attitude a lot and he seems to like him. And, we heard last year that Aubameyang said that Pepe is Arteta's favorite player in training. So even though he says all these nice things about him, I don't think he really trusts him on the pitch. I think he's given him quite a few chances, and I don't think he relies on him in this critical stage of the season to start. So maybe if Saka's like 80% fit, I think Saka starts. But, maybe just by default, if Saka's not fit, then yeah, we'll see Pepe. Lacazette will start. Nketiah is never going to start a game for us in the Premier League. The only other one I might see is maybe, Tavares for Tierney. We know how much Tierney has struggled with injuries over the past few years, and having to play 3 games in 6 days, maybe a bit too much for him. So maybe Tavares will start. We've not seen Tavares in quite a few weeks. So possibly that's the rotation we see. That I think there's reports on Twitter today that there will be a few changes tomorrow. So I'm definitely expecting it, but hopefully it's not too weak because, like you said, this is our second game in 64 hours. Well, Aston Villa have had a rest for a whole week. So they're going to be fully charged. They're going to be pumped up. And listen, this is what you expect from a big team. Next season, if you want to be in the Champions League, if you want to be competing in different cups, we're going to be playing 2 games a week or 3 games in 6 days. We need the squad. So hopefully in the summer they address these things so we have more squad depth and we're not so concerned when making these changes. Because in the past, we've when you're taking out, because at the moment we can't afford to lose Partey or Xhaka. We can't afford to take either of them out. When you look at the squad depth, like the ceiling, the next layer, when you're putting El Neni in, it's a massive drop in quality. So hopefully they address that in the summer, and hopefully tomorrow is not too weakened. If not, we're losing for sure.
Yeah. What's the sort of momentum going into this game? I know we're coming back of a defeat, Eben, but still, if you look at things, we've won our last 4 away games on the trot, and the last time that we won 5 away was somewhere in May 2015. So that's quite a long time back for a top team to not win 5 away games. So how would the momentum be going into this game?
I think we need to regain the momentum. So there's obviously been the one loss, which is a small blip. We had a very good momentum going on. So we need to regain that momentum. So this game is very crucial. I think we've got 2 back-to-back away games. We're playing Villa away, and then we're playing Palace, who are also playing well. So I think this game is very important, and we need to continue the momentum. So I think we're playing Villa, Palace, then we play Brighton at home, then we go to Southampton away. These are not easy fixtures away. Southampton, Palace, and Villa are going to be tough fixtures. So we definitely need the momentum. If we need to, according to me, we are overachieving in top 4 at the moment. If you have to maintain that till the end of the season, we have to be winning these games, unfortunately.
Based on the way that we played again, obviously against Liverpool, AP. So do you see us still finishing in the top 4? Has your expectations changed anything?
I think by default we're the favourites now. We have games in hand. We've put ourselves in a fantastic position to finish top 4. We're not in any other competitions. It's like we said. We've got 13 or 12 cup finals left. We have to give it our all. Like these players, I don't want them to look back in the summer and think, I wish we'd given a bit extra in that game. I wish we'd just 100% gone with the intensity in that game. They have to give it all. I think we're still the favourites. Liverpool, the performance against Liverpool was very encouraging. The same way, even though we lost at home to Man City, that was very encouraging. Like we've taken arguably the 2 best teams in Europe to their limits and deserve to get at least a point out of both games. I don't see any other argument either way. So, I'm encouraged. I think if they keep that intensity, keep that kind of form, that kind of system, those kind of tactics, I think we can do it. I'm not scared of anyone else in this league besides Liverpool and Man City. So not even Chelsea. I know Chelsea are the champions of Europe, but I don't fear them at all, like those 2. So if we can take those 2 to the limit, I don't see any reason why we can't finish top 4 at all.
Totally agree with you. If you sorry, Eben, now I was going to point out to the stats actually. So if you look at to the number of passes that we had against Liverpool, or even if you compare the whole stats, of course the goal says otherwise, but still the other stats almost are neck to neck with what we had with Liverpool. The passes completed were almost similar, and then we had a lot of progressive passes, which is what you would want from an attacking team. And then the dribbles and the tackles were almost neck to neck with what Liverpool had. Just that, as we all summed up at the start, it was just a clinicality which was missing from the Gunners to not take 3 point or at least even a point, for say.
Yeah, and just compare it to last season when we played Liverpool at home. We lost 3-0 at home, like got completely battered. We had 64% possession in our own half. It was an embarrassing display. So compare the 2. This time we've literally limited them to like just half chances. This is like one of their worst games in terms of like their XG, the amount of final third entries, their shots on target. We did that to them. It's not that Liverpool had an off day. They were playing at their best. We limited them. We didn't allow them in certain spaces. We pressed them in the right way, cut off certain passing lanes. So, credit to Arteta and the boys. Like, it was an amazing performance. But just to be very clear, this is not a loser's mentality. We're not coming in here and praising Liverpool and saying that, they're so best we couldn't do anything to them. We can't stop them. We're just marking our progress, and hopefully in the next couple of years, we will start to compete with Liverpool and beat them in certain games like this.
That's the sort of mentality. Awesome, man. Awesome.
we've improved leaps and bounds. We're talking about possession, passing. So last season, if we had played Liverpool, we would have had maybe 50% of the passes they had. But I think we are, like you said, Bob, we're neck to neck. Even the Leicester game, looking at the way the midfield trio were passing to each other, it was really amazing. So I think our passing has improved leaps and bounds. We're moving forward much better. So I think we have what it takes to finish top four. And like AP mentioned, I think the two most fierce teams in the league, we have played them. Both our games with them are done. The remaining games, if we win, we can definitely get there.
How important is taking 3 points from Villa, AP?
It's very important. You know, we have to show the rest of the league, got to show our rivals that the Liverpool performance wasn't a fluke, and I think they've seen it anyway. They've seen from the turn of the year like how our performance have improved every single week, how we're getting more consistent, more defensively solid, our attacking patterns of play are becoming more fluid. I think they've seen that, so we need to capitalize on that now. Aston Villa are a good team. You know, Coutinho's in form. They've got that Jacob Ramsey kid. They've got Buendia on the bench. They've got Watkins and Ings. They've got a lot of threats, and Steven Gerrard is doing well. I think they're unbeaten in like 10 of their 17 league games under him. So then it's going to be a tough game, and we've lost our last 2 visits to that ground.
Yeah,
so
we did.
It'd be a big statement from us to win, especially with the international break. Like you have to win going into international break. If not,
Totally.
that result just looms over the whole week, and
Totally.
Arsenal fans on Twitter will be fighting, and it goes back to like those days last year, man. That 2-month period where everyone was just fighting Arteta in, Arteta out. So we have to win, show our rivals we're still in charge, and let everybody know, keep us on their minds going into international break. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
Totally. Any thoughts from you, Evan?
No, I think I agree. Another loss could get the Arsenal fans to have a meltdown. A lot of Arsenal fans, I wouldn't say I'll be
already a lot of them have.
Yeah, I've seen some of the comments have been really pathetic after quite a decent performance. So I think, yes, the game is very important. Going into the international break, we need to keep that momentum and continue that after the break as well.
Awesome. So I don't want to drool any further into the result. You know, I mean, it was a loss nevertheless, but still, at least we are looking forward to the game ahead, and then we're hoping that Arsenal would actually bounce back. And then I just want to thank you both for joining me. We've got a Villa fan coming up, and we'll do a part 2 of this pod, featuring him, and then his thoughts on the game ahead. So if you guys don't have anything further to add, then probably we can wrap up the first part of this.
I think it's just good to just mention about Thomas Partey in terms of his performance.
Yeah.
He was obviously alongside Martinelli. I think he was the best player on the pitch. Like he was just amazing. Like he was first for ball recoveries, first for block passes, interceptions, third for like tackles made, third for long passes completed, progressive passes. Like he was the hub of everything. And I think if he can stay fit and maintain this level, we have a great chance at top 4. Like imagine he gets injured tomorrow. We're Lokonga's not a bad replacement. Lokonga's still young and he's still learning his trade, but Thomas Partey on his day is one of the best centre mids in the league. So fingers crossed he stays fit, man.
Mate, I feel gutted to have not mentioned about Partey as such. Sorry.
Yeah. I think last 2 games, I'm not saying not just last 2 games, but the last 2 games have really shown that the way he's dominated the midfield. So definitely.
I was just raving about the fact that he could have almost got himself a hat-trick against Leicester. So that such good was his performance. I mean, we all know how he was before he signed in for us, but then having to come out of a difficult time, with all those injuries and all those sort of things, he was personally honest as well in assessing him during that Sky interview, and then having to come out of that and then bouncing back in such a good style is quite a statement. And if you look at his personality as such, he's massive shift in games, and that's what is definitely clicking us in our favor. And we just hope that he remains fit for the rest of the season, because we've got if he is fit, then that dramatically that changes the course of our results, and then for sure we would be aiming to go as top as possible. No, totally, yeah. No, thanks AP for mentioning about him.
No, it's okay. I had to mention him, man. He was just too good, too good.
Awesome, guys. So we had a really good chat talking about the game and dissecting further into it. So thank you very much once again, guys, for joining in. And then yeah, we'll hope to talk again once after the game, with 3 points in back.
Yes,
that's cool, bro. Hopefully, man. Hopefully.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. We'll continue with the Villa fan for our second part. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Hey guys, welcome to the part 2 of this spot. Now we've got a Villa fan Asa here with us. So Asa, welcome on board. Welcome to the Vegona spot.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, lovely to be here. Thanks for the invite, and lovely to be here, Abin, too. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Now we appreciate you coming in such a short notice. Now that was definitely good that we were able to talk with you. So let's get into things. I just wanted to more specifically talk to you about being Aston Villa as such, and then about the game ahead further into detail. So if you were to rate about the Villa season so far, how do you rate it?
Yeah, okay. So first few months was really tricky for us. I think we had a very difficult summer last year. Most of our summer last year was revolving around Jack and whether he would stay, whether he would go, what was happening. And that seemed to really dwell on. I know there was a lot of linking into Arsenal. There was a lot of linking into United, City.
We were never going to pay 100 million. Buddy. Come on.
No, absolutely never. And so I think that really took over last year's pre-season. It really overrode the season, the summer pre-season, and it really affected the boys. There was no mentality. There was no motivation. There was no get up and go. It was a really poor pre-season. In fact, probably one of the worst pre-seasons I've seen in my career as a Villa fan, and then obviously we went into the season quite hopeful because we finished the season last time quite well. And it just didn't happen. And for whatever reason, every game that kept going on seemed to just give us a little bit more doubt, a little bit more skepticism, a little bit more an unhappy feeling as Villa fans that things weren't quite going how we wanted them to go. We replaced Jack with 3 players, all quality in their own right, but not really any of them replacing Jack, and we needed a replacement. We needed someone that could do something, and we've got that player now, but I'm sure we'll talk about Coutinho a little bit later, but we needed that in place, and we didn't get it. And I think it was only a matter of time before Dean Smith's time came to an end. Now, I'm a huge Dean Smith fan. I love Dean Smith. I'll always love Dean Smith. He's a Villa boy through and through, but sometimes things run their course, and we needed a new injection of confidence. We needed a new injection of belief and a bit of a different pathway to go forward. And I think Gerrard was exactly the right man for the job. Who wouldn't want to play under Steven Gerrard? What he brings to a club, what he brings to a set of players, coaching staff, his expertise, he's a world-class midfielder, and in his own right was one of the best midfielders on the planet at one time. So very, very delighted to have him. Got off to a great start, really good start with Gerrard. We looked like we were really meaning business. And of course, there was always going to be a blip, and we've had that blip. We had that run of games where we just weren't able to turn over results, created lots of chances, but just not quite getting there. And then we started to pick ourselves up again. And I'm quite happy with how things are. I think expectations at Aston Villa are quite high. And I think we just need to reduce them from time to time just to be a bit more realism about how things are going. But I see us finishing mid-table, mate, and doing quite well, and a good pre-season and really kicking on for next year.
Okay, so you touched upon a lot of things. I'll probably just look back at what Dino has done here. He's done a fantastic job. We all have to admit that, but as you said, his time was phasing out, and then his ideas were all pretty becoming stale, and there wasn't anything special that he was bringing more onto what he had done in the past. So it was sort of turning into a bit sore, and then I think it was the right time that you made the choice to actually appoint Gerrard there. You finished 11th last season with 55 points, and I think you're on 32 or 33 points now. Got 10 games left. Do you think replicating similar sort of a result and then possibly ending up in a similar place somewhere around, you're 9th in the table at the moment. Is it going around the same way as it happened as a kickstart for the next season? A lot of bigger things.
I think for us, it's how you define progression. It's how you define improving. For us, finishing in the same place again this year with a brand new coach who's only really had half a season, with some really good players who are here now to progress us and make us a better team. We weren't signing players like Coutinho and Luca Dean under Dean Smith. There was no chance that was ever going to happen. So we have improved. We have to look at there's very many different factors and formats in where that improvement can take place. And it's not just on the field, it's off the field. It's the players you're bringing in, the mentality, etc. So I think a mid-table finish would be fine. I know that the boys have got expectations to want to push that a little bit and try and get that 8th, 9th spot. But we're in and around a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams on a lot of form. And unfortunately for us, our little blip has meant that we are now 10 points behind 8th place. So for us, 8th is a long way off. We have to really pull that round and expect other teams above us to start losing. So 9th, 10th, I would be very happy with, but I expect next season that to be improved on. I expect us to push top 8 next year, no doubt.
Right. You mentioned about Gerrard having come down in a very difficult time in November, and then having he's managed 18 games so far, at least in the Premier League, and including the cup game, won 8 and then lost 7. So has he been able to instill any philosophy or gameplay in during his short time? Which is evident to the fans, or which sort of a play that you look to see.
Yeah, definitely, mate. There's a clear difference between how we were playing under Dean Smith and how we're playing under Gerrard. Dean Smith liked to play front foot football, didn't always have the right manpower to do that. Gerrard plays a slightly different way. He loves his 2-10s. He loves his spearhead attack. He loves playing with no wingers, but attacking fullbacks. And Dean Smith wasn't ever very keen on that. And that seems to be working for us. We've got Luca Dean.
Sorry to cut you there. Just a small
That's
thought.
all right.
Do you think Dino would have performed at the same level had he got Coutinho at the start of the season?
No, I don't. And that's no disrespect to Dino. That is just, I think Dino is at a level, and he got to that level at Villa. And I think there was no more than that. I was always worried as a Villa fan when Dino took over. It was always the unknown with Dino. We didn't know whether he could take us to the very top, but we always wanted to give him that chance and give him that opportunity to do that. And I think it was quite evident towards the end of his tenure that he wasn't able to do that next step. He wasn't hard enough. He's a very soft, sensitive, put your arm around me kind of coach. And Gerrard really isn't that. Gerrard is I love you, you're going to play, but if you don't play, you're out. It's a bit like that. Matty Targett is a prime example for that. He plays 3 seasons in a row because there's no left back competition, and Dean Smith loves him, but he's average for 3 years, goes to Newcastle because Luca Dean comes in. He doesn't want to play for his place because his spot's gone. So that's the mentality under Dean Smith. It was too likey, softy. Whereas with Gerrard, it's quite hard nail. And I like that. I think that's important at a club, that players know that their positions aren't safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think with Gerrard, you've got a massive PR going on. And with that weight, you were able to pull in a lot of high-profile transfers. Yes, you mentioned Coutinho there. I was at the start of the season, I was more raving about how you signed Buendia and then Bailey in especially, because I've been following Leverkusen for quite a long while, and Bailey is one who's been who excited a lot in his time there. So if you were to look back at especially the summer signings, who do you think has struck out so far?
I think it's more of a case. Bailey hasn't had a great start. No. Not a lot of his fault. He had that injury, took a little bit of while to get going. But I think Bailey will come good. I'm very excited about Bailey. I think there's a lot of talent in that boy. I'm excited to see it. Danny Ings, I thought it was a strange signing. Yes, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He knows where the goal is. But it was a strange signing. It wasn't a signing.
It was a rabbit out of a bag, I'll say, because none of us really expected.
Nobody knew that.
Nobody knew about
Grinder.
it. It was very under the radar. And I think that was more of a trying to please the fans signing when Jack left, rather than actually intent on where Danny Ings would actually play. But delighted to have him at the club, and I'm sure he'll play his part. Who else did we sign that summer? Martinez. No, that's before, wasn't it? Who else did we sign last summer? I can't even remember.
Bundia, Emo Bundia.
Brendan, he's class. I'm gutted that he's not playing. That is my honest opinion. I honestly believe that he, in that period since Gerrard started to now, he's been one of our best performing players. And the fact that he's dropped now to allow Coutinho to play and us play Watkins and Ings at the same time, it's working. Yes, I can see that. But I think it's a shame because Buendia is one hell of a player. You know, he doesn't just do attacking stuff. He's quite defensive as well. And he works his balls off. You know, he runs around that field every minute of, every opportunity. He's never stopped.
I think that's what he was doing season after season at Brentford, isn't it?
Norwich.
Yeah. So I think, his work rate is tremendous, as we all know. But then, you can't quite compare that with what Coutinho brings into the team, which is more sort of an attacking sort of a class. And
I'd like to see them both playing, Bob, if I'm honest. I'd like to see Coutinho and Buendia as a top 10, 2 10s, with Watkins or Ings in front. I don't think Watkins and Ings need to play together. That's my opinion, but it's working at the moment with them both playing. So, you know, I don't make the team selection, but I think for me, I'd rather have Buendia on the field than worrying about Watkins or Ings. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Sanson? What do you feel?
I like him, mate. I like him, and I've been angry on many occasions when the team sheets come out before the game that he's not playing. Hugely frustrated for him. Every time he plays,
he's had his share of injuries and stuff, so he's not.
He has, but he comes on and plays very well. Every time he plays, every time he comes on as a sub, he puts in one hell of a performance. I don't know what the boys got to do. I really don't. And you know, rotation is important. And Dougie Luiz for quite a long period of time has been played out of position, not really performing. Looks a bit lackluster. Looks a bit disinterested. Sanson's waiting on the bench, and he brings on Chukwuemeka. You know, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But I'm hoping Sanson gets himself a good preseason under his belt. And maybe next year does put himself in the rings, because we don't really know what's going to happen with Dougie yet either. You know, Dougie's still milling over a contract decision. Will he go?
Dougie has been pulled in loading by Arsenal at the moment. So I think things could quite get spiced up. You know, if Arsenal do go in for him, he'd probably end up as a squad player, to be in all fairness. You know, because I feel. He's still a very good player.
He's very good. He's very good, but he needs to be playing in the right position, and he's not a defensive midfielder, and that's where he's being asked to play for Villa, and he's not a defensive midfielder.
He's not, right? Yeah, the thing that's what people have to realize, because they look at him and say, "Oh, he's probably a good defensive midfielder," but he's not.
He's not. No. That's not his position. He's far too Brazilian for that.
Yeah, box to box maybe, but yeah. Tell me the impact of what Coutinho has had so far.
Unreal, mate. Unreal. I'm still pinching myself that he plays for Villa. You know, what he brings to the club is not just his immense quality. It's not just the fact that he is, you know, one of the world's most expensive footballers. It's what he brings psychologically and mentally, you know, for the boys playing around him. That's a huge pick-me-up for players playing alongside him, you know, who perhaps were struggling for a little bit of lack of form, lack of confidence. To know that they're lining up against Coutinho, you know, one of the most magical Brazilians on the planet, like it's incredible. And that's all about Stevie G for me. You know, there's no way Coutinho would have signed for Villa had Stevie not been in post. And we're very lucky to have Philippe in here, and I think he'll stay. I do believe he'll stay. I don't believe we'd have taken him on from Barca without knowing that we were going to sign him full time.
That's the next question that I was going to ask you. Do you think Villa is going to splash the cash on him?
Yes, yeah.
There's an option to buy.
I know a few people who are very close to the club, and I would consider it nearly done. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's quite
that's
a lot
good.
of confidence.
Good for Premier League as well.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. No, if I were the Villa management, it's a no-brainer, right? Because he naturally lifts the team. I think even if we look back, it's quite the signing or it's quite the feeling that we had when we signed Ozil
Oh yes.
from Madrid, because
Yeah.
quite
I
a
still
coup.
remember that. Yes.
Myself and Eben were both there. So we were just quite raving about, when Ozil signed. And I can sort of understand the feeling. You got to pinch yourself quite a, number of times to sort of believe into that. But then, I mean, continue about the other two signings as well. I felt, I probably feel they were as well shrewd, with Digne coming in. You sort of understood the fraction between Benitez and Digne there at Everton, and you quickly snapped him up and sent El Ghazi, I think, the other way. So that was as well a shrewd piece of business, I feel, because he naturally comes in. He's of course injured at the moment, but yeah, it naturally comes in and then sort of uplift the team as well on the left there. What do you guys feel about Calum Chambers as such?
So yeah, let's talk about Calum Chambers, because he's obviously come from you boys.
Yes.
And he's a good player, mate. He hasn't put a foot wrong since he's played for us. He really hasn't. Well. I think, scored some, and his passing and his distribution is beautiful. He plays like a forward sometimes with his passing and his vision. I've always liked Calum Chambers. I followed him when he was at under-21s, when he signed for you from Southampton when he was much younger. Always liked him, and I think he's a great addition, and he's able to play in more than one position, and I think that's really what Stevie G wants in a back line. Someone that can move around, someone that can offer a little bit of adaptability, particularly when we're struggling in that defensive midfielder anchor point. We just need that little bit more beef in there, and rightly so at the moment. He's keeping his place. I'm quite happy to see Ezri Konsa sat on the bench when Callum's performing like he is. So yeah, I'm chuffed to bits with him, and free transfer, you can't complain with that. It was a good deal to be made.
Eben, what's your thoughts in terms of with Chambers?
I like Chambers, definitely. I think he gave his heart out whenever he played for Arsenal, but I think we have gone through a transitionary period over the last quite a few years, and the expectations of the fans was too high. We're too critical of everybody who plays for Arsenal, so I think probably that weighed down a little bit on him. But whenever he was called upon, he did turn around spectacular. He did his job. In fact, we were cribbing without a backup right back, where he was playing for us until he left. We were cribbing, why did he go? But yeah, so I definitely good move for him.
I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I feel very happy for him. That he has actually found a place, very decent place, and I can't actually about the fact. I mean, to be very honest with you, his time at Arsenal was actually best summed up in his season at Fulham on loan.
Yeah, on loan. Definitely.
That was actually the best season that he had so far, but that was not in an Arsenal shirt. But he has always performed, as what Eben said. He has always performed when called upon, and he is a no-nonsense guy. Even though he left, or we chose to send him out, it was still a pretty good deal on both sides, I feel. And personally for me, I just want him to keep growing and then grow better, help you guys as well, not for this current game, but the games after. So,
I have one question before we get into the preview of the game.
You've
got all these signings, summer signings. You had quite a few of them. You had money coming from the Grealish sale, obviously. Then even during the January transfer window, you've made quite a lot of signings. But to me, one player that has impressed me the most is Jacob Ramsey.
Matt, I was going to touch upon that.
All these signings, all this money spent, and you've got a player who's from your academy, I'm assuming.
Yeah. But that's what a big club does, and that's what we should be doing, is bringing in quality players, but also not just from afar, but from within our own ranks. That we have for many years produced quite a lot of youngsters who go nowhere. They get to the first team, they make a debut, and within 6 months they're playing for Carlisle. Like that's what's been happening. Andy Weirman, Mark Albrighton, Barry Bannon. The list goes on. All very, very good players who just never make the cut. And I don't know why that is, but now we've really instilled a whole refresh of the academy, a whole new injection of confidence and belief and recruitment. And, you know, you only have to go through the under-23s list of players who are coming through, and that, you know, some on there are going to be world-class players. Chukwuemeka is a prime example. Louis Barry, oh man, list goes on. You know, Bogard in the middle of defence, Swinkles, Marshall in goal. They're all top quality players, and Ramsey is one of them. Not just him, but also his brother Aaron Ramsey as well. Two very talented players. It's lovely to see Ramsey doing so well. You know, Dino really loved him and gave him an opportunity, gave him time to spread his wings, and he's really taken that opportunity on board and made the very most of it. And you know, he's 20 years old. You know,
he's just been called up for the England squad, but we all know how that's gonna end up with. Sorry. If I were to take one player out of Villa into Arsenal, that would be Ramsey. Eyes closed, seriously. But we've got such a lot of competition there on our left flank. But I'm not quite sure if in case he would get into the starting 11, or if he's going to hurt others' chances there with we have with Martinelli and Smith Rowe as well. But he's a class. He's an absolute class. You know, if we were to pick up the player of the season at Villa so far, you straight away
Ramsey, JJ,
Ramsey. Yeah. The goal that he scored against Arsenal was.
I was just thinking about that now. We won, but that was an awesome goal.
Coming into the game, the weekend, what's your expectations going into the week? I know you're coming. We both are coming back after defeats. So with us losing against Liverpool, obviously, and then with you losing against West Ham, how good or how bad are your chances going into this game?
So I think we have to look at the teams that we've just both played. Liverpool and West Ham are two top teams, and have this year been two of the top three clubs performing wise. Liverpool are a fantastic team. West Ham have done tremendously well this year. So I don't think it's any shame or feat losing to either of those sides. And I think for both of us, Arsenal and Villa, this is a game where it's a fresh start. You know, yes, we had blips last weekend. We get over it. We move on. A new game, new day, new dawn. Let's do it. And I honestly think it'll be a great game. I don't think it'll be particularly high scoring. I think both teams will cancel each other out in that respect, but I think it will be a good game, and I'd be very happy to take a point, and I think Arsenal would as well. It depends how we turn up. If we turn up the Steven Gerrard team that we've shown up over the last few weeks before West Ham, we could inflict some damage and we could take 3 points on Saturday. No problem at all. But if Arsenal show up as well, the way they've been performing in games, and all of your big boys turn up and make a presence, then you could take 3 points. So I don't think it's any easy decision, easy guesswork to know what the score will be. I'm just looking forward to the game. I love playing the Gunners. It's a game I always look forward to. We've had our history. We've had our incredible games between the two sides, home and away. Plenty of goals and plenty of interesting turnarounds. We've beaten you a few times. You've beaten us plenty of times. I think it'll be a good game, mate. And it's a midday kickoff. Who doesn't love a midday kickoff?
We don't actually, because coming back of the Liverpool fixture on a Wednesday night, it's probably not the ideal way, but still, no, I'm not going to get into the fixture congestion talk here, because
we've already heard from Arteta. We don't need any more of that.
No.
I think this fixture has been more spicy of late since the Martinez move and Martinez taunts which we have had last season and all.
Hasn't it died down now?
It has died down. But I think last couple of fixtures, everything was focused on Martinez. But I think now it's different. Now there are two teams who are, even us, we are a rejuvenated side with Arteta coming in. We've got a brand of football which probably we didn't have last season.
It's interesting that you say that, Aben, because for a long time, I know a lot of Arsenal fans who wanted Arteta out.
Oh, yeah. There were many fans. I was not one of them, fortunately. But I know many fans who have changed their opinions after
Yeah,
our
yeah,
performances this season, because
yeah.
we are a team in transition. But now it feels like, especially the last game or the game before that, I could see small remnants of the old Arsenal, the passing, the movement, and with all the young guns coming in. So, like you said Ramsey is just 20, and the way he's playing, our most of the goals or assists that we have had are all players who are 20, 21. We've got Saka on one side, we got Emil Smith Rowe. These are our top scorers. So we've got a very young side whom Arteta is molding, and hopefully we'll have better years to come. So
Yeah,
very
yeah,
optimistic
yeah.
looking
No,
into the
definitely,
future.
definitely. It's been a much better season this for you than last. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think at a point in time last season we were going neck to neck for the mid-table spot. So that, I mean, all honesty, I think that's not what Arsenal should have competed for in the first place. But there was a lot of turmoil going around at the back of the pitch, with all these contract situations and players revolting at the back, COVID as well striking us hard and all those sort of things. So we've sort of moved away. I mean, even we've sold sort of our best player in to Barcelona on free. So all those things, out, but we were still able to put in a team decent enough to sort of making a difference. The thing is, when I look back at Arsenal, I spoke about this as well earlier. We've got a very strong 11, and we could actually hurt any team on their day if this team clicks. But there is no sort of, or there is nowhere to look upon for a plan B, except for in very rare occasion where Pepe can come in and make a difference. There is no one else there on the bench that you could look at who could come in and then make a difference. Like what we saw against Liverpool. We were able to hold them at bay for 50 minutes. And after that, they made clever substitutions. They brought in Salah and Firmino, of course. But if we look at our bench, we didn't really have any of such players. We've almost shipped out all our strikers, and we're just pretty light on that side. And yeah, there wasn't anyone left that you could think of and then come and make a difference as such. That's probably what is going to be. And as you said, it's very hard to predict such games because we don't know which sides are going to turn up and how's the game going to be dictated. But if I were to talk about from an Arsenal point of view, I think I just believe that Arsenal will keep going with the same momentum that they had with Liverpool, and should they even perform at that sort of levels there, I see them coming back with 3 points. But again, it would be interesting to see how Gerrard set up the team and probably makes use of his attacking fullbacks, as he said. And yeah, talking about the starting 11, who do you see starting as for Villa?
Villa, Martinez, it'll be Matty Cash. I think Chambers will keep his spot. I think Mings will keep his spot. I don't think Konza will come in. Neither have done anything wrong to warrant being dropped. So, and Gerrard's very hot on keeping your place. If you perform, you keep your place. It's simple as that. So, Ashley Young will be left back because Diné's out. In the middle, I'm guessing we'll go Dougie Luiz, John McGinn, Aaron
Dougie Luiz is injured, I think.
No, I don't think he is. He's been training all week, so
Right.
He may be in the squad. But if Dougie isn't in, then I expect Sanson to come in. That's the obvious swap.
Yeah.
So, and then up front, I'd love him to play Buendia. I'd love him to put a little bit of pressure on Arsenal's fullbacks with Buendia rather than Danny Ings and Watkins. But I expect he'll go Coutinho and then a spearhead of Danny Ings and Watkins up top. But I'd like to see him play in Watkins, Danny Ings drop to the bench, and then Coutinho and Buendia behind him. That's I think how I'd like us to see us play. Whether that'll happen, I don't know.
Any surprises that you see in the Arsenal 11, Eben?
No, I see the same lineup. I think last 4 or 5 games we've had the same starting lineup. I see the same, unless Arteta decides to rest Martinelli or Saka and start.
Mind you, this is the last game before the international break, so
yeah, I probably see the same lineup. Yeah. No, see, the only option is I think Saka felt tired towards the end of the Liverpool game. So if he wants to start Smith Rowe and get Saka in as a sub, he can. But I don't think he'll do that. It'll be the same. I think Saka, Lacazette, and Martinelli up front with the midfield trio of Saka, Partey, and Odegaard, and the same back four with Soares, White, Gabriel, and Tierney, and
Okay.
obviously
Okay.
Ramsdale in goal.
I know it's going to be hard, but still I'll go in for predictions from you guys. As are you first?
Yeah, okay. My optimistic head goes 2-1 Villa, but I think it will be a 1-1 draw.
Fair enough.
I'm going with a 2-0 victory. The optimistic me is going for a 2-0 victory.
To
for
Villa?
Arsenal. No, for Arsenal.
All right. Okay. I think we've covered all that I had. It was a pretty good chat, talking about a lot of things and getting to know more from inside in terms of what's how Villa's been doing and then how they've been tracking so far. So yeah, as I said, good luck to them except for this game. I just hope that they perform well the rest of the games and then they go on to achieve whatever that they do. I'm personally, for me, from the outside, I look at Gerrard's appointment as a massive boost to the club, and I see that club is taking itself to the next level with him being there. And then it's just a matter of time if he stays, and then if he starts to do similar things, then they would go on to achieve greater things in the near future. So with that note, I'll leave you both. Thank you very much for joining once again in your short notice. If you happen to have any comments, please put down in the comment section for people who are watching this. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Well, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys.